it's Louise Hvala and you're watching Gatehouse Insights. On today's episode, I'm joined by Siri Bandara, who is the principal lawyer at PLS Lawyers. Siri, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Louise, for having me today's program.
So take me back to the start of your legal career and how it all began.
I was admitted to the legal profession in Sri Lanka as an attorney at law of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. So when I say attorney at law, it's not a very much familiar name for Australians. So I will explain what is attorney at law. In Sri Lanka, unlike in Australia, there are no divisions in the profession. There's no barristers and solicitors. So sometime back before 1972, there's a division they call proctors and advocates, but it was abolished and introduced one system. Now all the lawyers are called attorneys at law. So I admitted as an attorney at law of the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka in 1988, and after that several months I practiced as a criminal lawyer under the criminal counsel, because like articles in Australia, in Sri Lanka we call it apprenticeship. So I did my apprenticeship with a very eminent criminal lawyer. So after admitting as an attorney at law, actually I was a young man. I didn't know what to do. So I did not have any plans for future. So late 80s we didn't have computers, we didn't have mobile phones. So I was at home. I can very well remember the date I took my oath as a lawyer, 28th of October 1988, just 29 years ago. So Monday was 31st. So Monday I was at home, nothing to do. All of a sudden someone knocked my door. I got surprised. My senior lawyer came to my home and asked, let's come get dressed and come with me to make your first appearance in court today in a highly controversial criminal matter. It was privilege. So he took me to the court, and he has already told the magistrate that my junior is making his first appearance today as a junior counsel, and do some greetings. So that's how I entered into the profession. It was proud to have a senior lawyer like that. Then I was working with him 8-9 months. He was a very famous criminal lawyer, all the famous criminal cases, so I was involved as a junior at that time. But after 8-9 months, I thought it's not my cup of tea. I didn't like criminal law much, so my aspirations are different. So I decided to do the other side of the law, the civil law. Then I applied a position in the Legal Aid Commission. There's a vacancy at that time, so I applied. After a couple of interviews, I was selected as the duty officer in the capital city of Colombo. So as you know, legal aid anywhere in the world is a government-sponsored organization. So Legal Aid Commission had very limited resources. So large number of cases, more than 100 cases, but only one duty officer. So you can imagine in late 80s, we didn't have computers. I had to do everything. I had to draft the papers, I had to meet the clients, interview, consultations, preparation, and go into courts, file it, and when the case is taken up for open court hearing, I had to go and conduct the case. So it's a very challenging position. So that's how I entered into the legal profession. So therefore, because of this legal aid involvement, I got a very extensive training in all aspects of the legal profession. Drafting, court appearances, meeting people, and also meeting lawyers, because some days I remember there are some special days for family law stuff. So initially I was handling family law cases. Per day I was handling 10 to 15 cases. So when I am going to court as a young man with 15 files, you can understand 15 cases mean there are 15 lawyers opposing. So they are waiting for me to talk before going to the open court to have a settlement, consent orders, some kind of arrangement. So like that, I built up a very good rapport with most of the senior lawyers, junior lawyers, and I became a very popular person at that time. After some time, even I contested for Colombo Law Society as a committee member, and I won with massive majority. So that's how I entered into the profession.
Why did you get into law? What made you practice law?
As I told you earlier, just I passed my VCE, it's not VCE in my country, it's called GCE advanced level. So after passing exam, just I applied for law, so I was selected. Like that, I did not have aspirations for law, but after coming into the profession, as I told you, I did criminal law for nearly 1 year, then I am not happy, then joined Legal Aid Commission, and
29 years later, you're still practicing?
Yes, after practicing legal aid lawyer for nearly 2 years, 1991, I thought this is high time to resign and set up my own law practice, because I had necessary skills, knowledge and networking. So this high time to start my own practice. So 1991, I resigned from the Legal Aid Commission and I started my own law practice in the capital city of Colombo. And within 2-3 years, it was very successful practice, and several lawyers working for me, and it was continued till 2009. So latter part of my career in Sri Lanka, I was more concentrating about the appeal matters rather than doing the original courts, because with my exposure, my knowledge and everything. So I was appearing in High Court of Colombo and the Court of Appeal. When you say High Court, don't think that is the highest court in Sri Lanka. Unlike in Australia, the court system is different. The court hierarchy is, the highest court is the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka, then the Court of Appeal, then the High Court, District Court and the Magistrate Court. So civil jurisdiction is with the District Court. If you are not happy or aggrieved by the decision, then you can appeal to the High Court. From High Court, then to the Supreme Court. So I was mostly doing the Court of Appeal and the High Court matters last few years before I come into Australia. So you know why I came to Australia?
No, tell us. Share.
So before I come, my sister was in Australia already for 20 years before.
Oh wow.
So she invited me, why don't you come to Australia and settle down? So I said, no, I can't come. I have very good practice here, very lucrative business, and how can I leave this practice? Then my sister said, no, think about the 2 kids. I had 2 kids. So I made the application under skill migration. My sister also is sponsored. So in 2007, I got my permanent residency in Australia. So according to that visa conditions, I have to come to Australia and get the seal in my passport. But after getting the visa, you can stay outside Australia for 5 years. So I went back again and continuing my practice. So second year, 2008, 2009, my sister said, no, now you are permanent resident, you have to come and start your career and give better education to my children. So 2008, end of 2008, I came to Australia. I put my 2 children in Australian schools, but still I am not happy about my being present here, because every day I am getting telephone calls from Sri Lanka, when are you coming to this case, that case. So that is the period I was shuttling here and there, 1 foot here, 1 foot there. Every 3 months I go to Colombo and stay 3 months there and come here, but I have not started my studies yet. Then around 2010 I decided, no, I must decide where I should establish my career. Then I started my bridging studies in the Deakin University. I completed my 3 or 4 subjects, Deakin University and Victoria University. And after that, College of Law stuff, I completed with a short period and admitted as an Australian lawyer.
You were telling me before that there was some exemptions you get being a Sri Lankan lawyer. Can you share them again? Yeah, exemptions.
Because Sri Lanka is a country where English law is not official common law. I could not tell you about the Sri Lankan background. What is Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka is a small, beautiful island in the Indian Ocean, and it's a very rich cultural heritage, highly influenced by Buddhist teachings. So 75% of the people are Buddhist, and we have more than 2,500 years recorded history. But last 600 years was ruled by foreign nations. So 1505, about 600 years ago, Sri Lanka was conquered by Portuguese people, and later Dutch invaded Sri Lanka and captured, and finally British. 1815, British captured coastal areas of Sri Lanka and later entire the country. So before British came into Sri Lanka, the Roman Dutch law was the common law of Sri Lanka. So that's the law. But when the British conquered, they introduced English law as the common law. There's no conflict, but officially the Roman Dutch law was the common law, but British introduced their laws. All major areas of law, the English law applies still, like our Criminal Procedure Code, Civil Procedure Code, Evidence Ordinance, Penal Code, everything coming from England. So officially Sri Lankan common law is Roman Dutch law. That's the only two countries in the world Roman Dutch law is the common law. You know the other country is South Africa. South Africa and Sri Lanka common law is Roman Dutch law. So as I told you, the British law dominated the legal sector. So therefore we are very much familiar with the English legal system, directly the British, because before 1972, before Sri Lanka became a republic, the appellate jurisdiction is to the Privy Council in England. So all our law reports mostly coming from England. So therefore, when you migrated country like Australia, it's not a new thing for people coming from my jurisdiction, Sri Lankan jurisdiction. Even the legal council, Council of Legal Education, they know that, and lawyers from, I think, India also included, and Sri Lanka, they give a lot of concessions. So I was given a direction by the Supreme Court of Victoria. So I had to do the 4 subjects: constitutional law, administrative law, law of property, and trust and equity. As you said, it's very hard subject.
Well, the hard ones.
It's harder for me because I'm coming from different jurisdiction. Not only the legal, forget about the law, our education system is also different. When I come to Australia, it's an open book system. So there's
in Sri Lanka?
There's no open book system in Sri Lanka. So I had to learn all those things first. What is this? So I thought, when I say open book, I thought, oh, what is this? You can copy everything here. No, it is not so. So finally, I familiarized with the system and entered into Victoria Uni and Deakin Uni, and I passed out those subjects. Then when I applied for my practical training, the College of Law, again I got a lot of exemptions. You know, about 15 subjects you have to follow as an average student. So I was exempted from all except professional ethics and trust and office accounting.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's very good thing. That's how
That is good.
I became a lawyer in Australia.
And now you've built a successful practice. You've got 2 offices in Melbourne CBD and Dandenong. How have you built it?
Yeah, that's other story. Now, as I told you, even after entering into the legal profession 29 years ago, I did not have big plans. Like in Australia, I just completed my exams. Then I was thinking what to do next. But I understood with my experience, it's hard to get a position in a Melbourne-based law firm in Australia. So I decided the best thing is to set up my own business. But my friends and colleagues are very skeptical about this idea. They said, no, you are a foreigner. Yes, you are a permanent resident, but this is foreign country, different language, different culture. It is hard for you to establish a business. But I told them, after practicing more than 2 decades in a jurisdiction where English law is the dominant law, so I think I can take the challenge. So I took the challenge and I started PLS lawyers in the CDB as a sole practitioner. Later I converted into incorporated legal practice and doing very well in the city. And also recently I opened up a branch in Dandenong and I was hoping to open up another branch in Werribee very soon.
Werribee?
Yeah.
Why Werribee?
Werribee is the area, the Tanit, you know Tanit area, a lot of Sri Lankan migrants are settled down. So they badly need a lawyer because, you know, as a migrant, some newly migrant, not only Sri Lankan, every migrant, they're happy to meet a lawyer who speaks their own language. They like to tell their complicated legal stories to a lawyer in their own language. So some 20% of my clients are coming from that area. They are reluctant to come to city because of these parking problems and transport problems. So, and also I have a Sri Lankan qualified lawyer. He is happy to look after that office.
That's good.
So I thought of opening a branch there.
What areas do you practice in?
Mostly I do personally I do the judicial review application, you know, administrative law, judicial review of the government decisions, because a lot of migrants in Australia, there are migration decisions under Migration Act. So under the Migration Act, if the migration department gives a decision, the aggrieved party can appeal to the MRT, or currently it's AAT on the merits review. After the merits review, on the if there are jurisdictional error only, they can appeal to the Federal Circuit Court. So I like this area of practice from beginning. I could not tell you, when I was in the Legal Aid Commission in Sri Lanka, I was handling 15 cases per day, I told you. Apart from that, at that time Sri Lanka had civil unrest, 1980s. Thousands of young people were killed and lot of disappearances and big issue. So a lot of habeas corpus applications, you know the habeas corpus applications about the disappearances, and fundamental rights applications like human rights violations. Under the Sri Lankan constitution, the human rights jurisdiction rests on the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka. So if human rights is violated, the place you have to go to is the Supreme Court. So at the Legal Aid Commission, a lot of fundamental rights or human rights applications came in at that time. So after going to magistrate court, then I was entrusted that department. So from the lowest court, magistrate court, to the highest court, the Supreme Court, I had the experience. So therefore, appearing in the Federal Circuit Court and the federal courts I thought, is not a big task for me, because different rules applied, not like trial courts. So, and also after I started my practice, 50% of my cases coming about those issues, so I decided to do that.
And do all your clients find you from word of mouth from other Sri Lankan immigrants?
Yes, that is the important thing. I know when I came to Australia, I got surprised when I see newspapers, all the lawyers advertising in newspapers, television. In Sri Lanka, the lawyers can't advertise.
Really?
Advertising is banned.
Why?
They can't advertise.
How come?
It's British system some time back. Now in England they have changed it, but Sri Lanka has not changed, because Sri Lankan lawyers, not only Sri Lankan lawyers, most of the Asian lawyers, they think the legal profession is a honorable traditional profession, not as a trade or business. But when I came to Australia, I thought they refer the legal profession as the legal industry. Then this is not an industry, this is a profession. I was arguing with some lawyers, but finally I also understood this is a business finally. It's a very competitive business. So answering to your question, so I am highly influenced by the Sri Lankan system after practicing more than 20 years. So as a policy, I don't advertise. I have never advertised in newspapers or television, no. In future, I don't know, but without advertising sometimes you can't survive, but the word of mouth is enough if you are doing proper job.
Yeah, that's good. Tell me a little bit more about the Buddhist religion.
Buddhist religion is actually not a religion, as it's a way of life, it's a philosophy. There's in Buddhists they don't believe in gods. Lord Buddha is a human being, and his teachings people follow. It's kind of meditation, and you take your mind to a supreme position. It's called nirvana. So when you reach, so it's practicing of giving up. So according to Buddhist teachings, you must not attach to worldly things. You have to give up. First you have to give up gratification of your senses, ear, nose, mouth, touch, like that. So by doing that you can improve your mind to a greater height. When you take that mind to a greatest height, it's called nirvana. So the Buddhists, they believe after that you will not reborn again. That's the end of your human. It's a very complex area of Buddhist philosophy.
Wow.
I can't explain in short.
Can you explain it a little bit?
Did you get what I said?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I understood.
Because most of the Buddhist books are in Sanskrit and Pali, different languages. But the Buddhism is a fast-growing religion, even in Australia.
It's very fast.
Yeah. We'll talk some other day about Buddhist teachings.
Over
I'm happy to talk about this. Not today.
Not today.
Today I'm ready with the legal stuff.
Yes. Now, aside from legal, what do you do outside of work?
That is a question most of the Australians ask. But I can't exactly answer that question because I read lot. But if you ask what
do you read?
What do you read? Again, I read law.
Law.
I read law because when I was in Colombo, there's a law journal, Bar Association Law Journal. I'm waiting for that law. It's a big book. I read several times that book and familiarize with the law. And even if I get a newspaper, I read the law stuff. The law is in my blood. It's my passion.
Do you come from family in
Oh
law?
no, I'm the first person in my family as a lawyer. My son is studying.
Your son's studying law?
Studying law, yeah. No.
What's your daughter studying?
My daughter is also studying criminology and international studies in the Monash University.
Okay.
And my son's completed his accounting degree
Very good.
and working for ATO.
Oh, good.
And I said, no, now you must concentrate about the law. So now he started at the Victoria University, the legal studies.
And will you take him under your wing once he's passed?
Yeah, once he passed, I told him just take over my legal practice. And also the other important thing, I am holding both countries' practicing certificate.
Okay.
In Sri Lanka, there's no holding practicing certificate. So I still maintain my Sri Lankan practice. My office is still there. It's closed. When I go to Colombo, it's open.
Do you still
but
do work?
some of my clients still they don't know I am living in Australia. I'm Mr. Bandara, I want to meet you. They come like that. So I have idea to improve my Sri Lankan practice again, because after practicing more than 20 years, I can't forget.
Yeah.
And by heart I can say there are statutes, gazette notifications and this and that. I love to practice in Sri Lanka.
Would you go back and practice full time?
Yes, that's my intention.
Your plan?
Yeah. But now with the modern technology and easy transport systems, I can practice both places.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you still practice, say if a client in Sri Lanka needed your help with something, can you still practice from Australia?
I couldn't get your question.
So if there's a lawyer, if there's a client in Sri Lanka
Yes.
and they call you and say, Siri, I need your help,
Yes.
can you still do it from here? Or do you
Yeah, I
have to?
can do. Because I'm holding my Sri Lankan practicing law certificate. I have all the letterheads and everything. But the place is important. I can sign a document saying it's Melbourne, signed at Melbourne. So when I go to Colombo, I take my seal and everything.
Okay.
Some people come and I do. So I can cover my travel expenses, everything if I stay 2 weeks in Sri Lanka, like this. And also one of my juniors working with me, they are doing very well now. They are inviting me to come, and I have a very big library and office in Colombo. So
Next time you go, I'm coming.
oh yeah, you can stay. It's a big house and you can stay there. It's an eco-friendly house. Have you been to Sri Lanka?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it's very good country.
It's very good.
Yeah, you come, you can stay, and I will take you to all the system. Even if you go to Sri Lankan courts, you can see 300 years old big buildings, the Roman Dutch period. The very cultural heritage, but there are some reservations because 500 years conquered by foreign nations, you can understand. But still Sri Lankans, they maintain their identity and Buddhism.
When are you going back next?
This month I am planning to go.
Oh, you're going back?
Yeah.
Over Christmas?
Before Christmas.
Before Christmas.
Because I have some cases lined up in 20th December.
So you've got to go there and then
There's a direct flights started from Melbourne to Colombo last week. So if I leave here, after working my office here, if I leave 3 o'clock, I can be in Colombo same night in the 12 o'clock because of this time difference.
What is the time difference?
5.5 hours,
And what's the travel time to?
10 hours.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So same night, the following day, if I take my black coat, I can go to court. In Sri Lanka, the other difference is in Sri Lanka, you have to wear black coat and black tie.
Really?
That's other fact.
No, you're-
When I'm proudly wearing colored ties in Australia, not in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
So black trouser, black coat, and black ties.
Is there a reason why?
I think the British people, they introduced these laws last century, but I don't know, for some reasons Sri Lankans still carry
You
these.
should wear your red tie. Break it up.
No, I have bad experience in court. By mistake, one day it's almost black, it's grey tie, but judge said, no, I can't hear you.
Really?
Yeah, you are not properly attired.
What colour shirt?
Shirt white.
White. So
White,
the
black
one
and black and white,
Okay.
everything.
black and white.
Yeah.
That's it. So the shirt you're wearing now, can you wear it to court?
This is also a little bit controversial. Controversial. For a Sri Lankan court, I don't wear this one.
Okay, just plain
So I'm
white.
enjoying in Australia in that sense. Australian legal system, I like that area.
For lawyers wanting to, I suppose, come to Australia after practicing in another country, what would you say to them? What advice would you share with them?
Oh yeah, this is a very wonderful country, land of opportunity. Especially the lawyers migrating to different jurisdiction, they have good chance of establishing their career because of the language skills, where even I capitalize. Because Australia is a multicultural country. Australia is the best multicultural country in the world, according to our Prime Minister. That's true, I accept. And also Australian society is multicultural and multi-ethnic society. More than 100 languages are spoken in Australia, according to some journal I talk. Even if you go to courts, you can ask interpreter for any languages. The court at their cost arrange the interpreters. But still, different communities, they like to talk their own language when they have a complicated legal issue with their own language. So the lawyers come into Australia with in foreign countries with their other language skills. They can reach greater heights in the profession with their other skills, not only the language skills, other exposure to the law.
Siri, this has been wonderful. Thank you for sharing your story, and it's a pleasure seeing you every day.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
Now, Siri and I would love to hear from you. What is the biggest insight you're taking away from today's conversation? Comment and share below and let us know. If you like this episode, please subscribe to our channels and share this video with your friends. And thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time on Gatehouse Insights.